We did our very best to condense them. There were some repeats, and we'll certainly try to cover as much ground as we can in the time allowed. As we've said before, today Andy Hydorn, the president, will be of the chamber, will be the timekeeper. For opening comments, each of the candidates will receive 3 minutes to tell us a little bit about themselves. And then for each subsequent question, each candidate will receive 2 minutes. And Andy has a series of cards here that have 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds. And when he arrives at stop, we would ask the candidates to finish the sentence you are currently in and end there. What we hope is that because there are so many questions, we certainly want the candidates to have as much time as they need to adequately express themselves, but the shorter you keep the answers, the more questions we'll be able to get. And then also, if we have the time, we would like to allow each candidate 2 minutes at the end of the discussion to basically give a summation. If either candidate so desires, they have the opportunity for a 30-second rebuttal to the statement made by the other candidate. But you're going to have to elect to take that. We're going to try to keep moving through these questions, so if you would like to elect to do that rebuttal, please indicate. Otherwise, I'm just going to move on to the next question. So what I will do now is to determine who answers the first question first, is I've got a quarter here. We're going to go ahead and flip that coin. And the winner of the toss gets to choose whether they go first or second for the first question. Deborah, would you like to call? So would you prefer to go first or second?
I'll go first.
Okay. All right, so in 3 minutes or less, Deborah, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you feel qualifies you for this job?
Sure. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Deborah Rarrick, and I'm married to my husband David, who I believe is the most wonderful man in the world. Together we have 3 boys, ages 14, 12, and 4. My husband coaches soccer at the Colville High School, and he works for Colville School District in the maintenance department. I have an active family. My boys are involved in all kinds of sports. Every single sport that's available, they're involved in. They're also involved in band. They both play trumpet, but we like to play trumpet. And the youngest attends Astor Preschool as a supporter. And this year, I had the opportunity to coach him. I relocated from Southern California in the early 90s. And because I only had California on my resume, I had trouble finding a job. So I decided to volunteer. And I ended up volunteering for the Rarrick committee as their secretary. It was the downtown revitalization. I also worked at the Colville Preschool office as a baker or a lawyer, and eventually I was hired in the summer of '07 by the building and planning committee at that time. How I got my job eventually as the department head for the recreation. So to that, I have 13 years experience as the department head for the city as the recreation coordinator. As such, I've seen 13 budget years and prepared 26 budgets. Because I prepared 2 different budgets annually, one for the rec department and one for the swimming pool. I was also involved in and put together, I gave input at monthly department heads under, I had meetings under 3 different mayors, Scott, Anderson, and Nichols. As mayor, I intend to pay close attention to each department head's needs, ideas, and listen to the public, being careful not to micromanage. I've been listening throughout the past several weeks since I began this journey, and it's been very interesting to me. There are hot button issues that I didn't realize were there, and when problems exist and times are tough as they are now, what's most important is that we all come together rise to the challenge, and I know we can all do it. It's time for a change.
John, can you have the speaker speak up or stand up and speak?
Yep, we have a full room, so for each of the candidates, we want to make sure that your answers reach everyone. So if you could try to project, and if necessary, if it would help you, you're welcome to stand. And again, simply due to time constraints, I would ask that the audience hold comments, applause, and reaction toward the end, so that we can make sure to pay as much respect to each of these questions and to the candidates themselves until the end of the debate. So with that said, Mr. Mayor, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what qualifies you for this job?
Like many of us here, my family moved here in 1947 when I was just 2 years old, and can't say I've been a lifelong resident, because as my career and schooling occurred, I moved to Spokane for a while. The job took me to Olympia for a while. The job took me to the Columbia Basin for a while. But between each one of those, it seems like Colville was always home, and I came back home. So this has been where it's always been the best place to live that we've ever lived, and we wanted to make sure that our families had a good place to live as we raised our families, and as they raised their families. We've been able to, like I say, be able to move out to see what goes on in other parts of the state, in other parts of the economy, and other activities that we've been involved with. We have, my wife and I have 3 children, 2 of them which live in the area. One lives in Colville and one lives in Cut Falls. So we were able to have our family with us. I attended Eastern Washington University, received a degree in business administration, had the opportunity to work for several businesses here in Colville, operated my own real estate business for a period of time. Unfortunately, it was in the early 1980s when the economy was not unsimilar to what it is today, where housing starts were almost non-existent. The interest rates were completely different though at that time, but the economy was still the same and people were struggling to make ends meet and to live. And following that, I worked for what is now Harp and Home. I worked for Boggins under a personnel contract for a while. Been the mayor for 8 years. I was on the city council prior to that time, and have seen many changes occur in the city. The biggest one is the budget and the operation of the city. Over the last several years, as you well know, the economy has forced changes into what we do in our homes and in our lives. If you're running a business, you know what's going on with employment and the cost of employment based on business. The city is not unlike that. We've had to make some very difficult choices, difficult changes to make sure that we continue to operate the city. We've had a time when the budget becomes very crucial to the everyday operation of the city. We're looking at going into 2012 with a very tight budget, but we are going to be able to see that it balances and that we'll be able to take care of the needs as we best can. We know that in so doing, sometimes some of the things are not going to get done that have traditionally been done in the city.
All right. Actually, Dick, why don't you remain standing? We'll kind of go back and forth between the 2 of you as far as who answers the question first. So we will have you answer this question first. How would you characterize your leadership style, and how might this style translate into how business is transacted at the city level?
I always believe that decisions should be made at the lowest possible level. As where I work now, we try to instill that in the people that are employees. You've got a decision to make, you've got an idea to make, bring it up, don't be afraid of it. And many times some of the things that occur are implemented and brought up by some of the employees. I think that that's been the way I've worked with the city, is to allow the department heads and to allow the employees of the city to make recommendations, to come forward and